This throws a light upon the level of confidence which Florio had with aristocracy. Hi everyone, welcome back to John Florio channel. Today I will tell some secret stories about John Florio, which will unveil his true personality. Don't forget to subscribe. John Florio's life and personality have been often distorted, so it is time for you to know who really was John Florio, his true personality, how John Florio was described by the people who really knew him, his friends and colleagues. Let's start with Ben Jonson. Ben Jonson was an English Stuart dramatist, lyric poet and literary critic. Ben Jonson was a close friend of John Florio. The two probably met when Florio was employed at court as groom of the privy chamber and private secretary to Queen Anne of Denmark in 1664. Florio had many activities at court. One of them was to select musicians who played during court entertainments. He also collaborated with dramatists, and one of these was Ben Jonson. There is a copy of Volpone, Jonson's famous comedy, that contains a dedication written by Ben Jonson to John Florio. He describes Florio as his loving father and worthy friend, and the aid of his muses, which means someone who helped his friends. With this dedication, John Florio is shown as a man who was deeply loved by Ben Jonson. He maybe was also a father figure to him.
John Florio helped Ben Jonson write in Volpone, and he collaborated with other dramatists at court.
Thanks to this dedication, we know that John Florio was a talented writer who never said no to his friends and colleagues when they asked for help for a play or a mask. And when they knocked at the door of Florio's office, they knew that he could give them what they needed to improve their work. Another secret story that reveals Florio's true personality is told by Ottaviano Lotti. Ottaviano Lotti was an Italian ambassador from Florence who went to London to arrange a marriage between the Medici family and the Stuart family. Lotti stayed in London for many years, and he wrote a diary containing stories about the people he met at court. And he also wrote about John Florio. He describes John Florio as a powerful man who had an important role at court, especially with Queen Anne. In his diary, Ambassador Lotti wrote that all the foreign ambassadors who wanted to have an audience with the Queen, they had to meet Florio first. So Florio decided who could meet the Queen and who couldn't. He had a confidential role with Queen Anne. He brought her most confidential letters. They loved to talk about Queen's favorite book, Pastor Fido, and Florio frequently gave her his books. Once John Florio gave Queen Anne his copy of Bandello's novels. So when Lotti understood Florio's important role with the Queen, he tried to befriend him to arrange the marriage with the Medici family. Lotti confessed in his diary that Florio let him have an audience with the Queen only after a dinner invitation and a tobacco pipe. He also described Florio as a man who knew many secrets about the upcoming marriages between princes and princesses and loved to gossip with the court ladies. With these stories, John Florio is described as a man who had a powerful position at court, and he had a confidential role with Queen Anne. But this is also confirmed by another Florio's contemporary, William Vaughan. William Vaughan was a contemporary of Florio and his old friend. 1 year after Florio's death in 1626, Vaughan published The Golden Fleece, a book of memories about the events at court of Queen Anne and King James. For the Queen and King, Vaughan used two pseudonyms. However, when it comes to John Florio, Vaughan has no problem giving us the real name and a few stories about him. Vaughan revealed in this book that John Florio had many enemies who were jealous of his important role at court. One Hugh Broughton, a contemporary of Florio, aspired at the same position of Groom of the Privy Chamber and tried to bring Florio down by revealing a secret story about him. Hugh Broughton revealed that John Florio was involved in a poetic production full of obscene verses that was published on June 19. Now, if you have been living in the early 17th century, you would have known that June 19 was an important date. It was the king's birthday.
In 69, James I turned 43 years old. Vaughan writes that John Florio published a volume of salacious and obscene verses on King James' birthday. So he had to defend himself by arguing that sometimes it is necessary to temper gravity with brightness to suit the tastes of one's pupils and patrons.
There are several sexual puns that Florio used to make his own apology. He refers to the queen as the new broom who sweeps clean, and every servant at his first entertainment into a great lady's court must suit his affections to her as near as possibly he can. This throws a light upon the level of confidence which Florio had when he succeeded. But the story does beg the question: which volume of obscene verses Florio was responsible of? Vaughan doesn't reveal it, but this story clearly shows another side of Florio's multifaceted personality. There are so many other secret stories about John Florio, but that's enough for today. Today I show you that John Florio was a powerful man who had an important role at court, especially with the Queen. He also was a man who attracted many enemies. He collaborated with dramatists like Jonson. He loved to gossip with court ladies and loved to perform horse stories with the Queen. What do you think of these secret stories about John Florio? Do you want to know other stories like this? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. Stay resolute. Bye! A new broom sweeps clean.